What's going on, everybody? This is Sean. Welcome back to the channel. Just give me a couple of minutes to get adjusted while we get more people on the live stream. We've done a lot of talking today. Like a lot. I did a live stream about 25 minutes in the morning. And then nobody really realizes it, but in the afternoon, I did a 2.5 hour lecture at San Diego State University to about total, maybe about 30, 55, 60 criminal justice students, psychology students, and nursing students. That was a long presentation. So I can't believe I'm doing this live stream today. I thought I ran out of speech, but I have some time for you guys. Give me about 25 minutes and we can address today's topic. All right, I'm gonna try my best to talk again. I mean, geez, 2.5, 3, over 3 hours already of talking, not talking nonstop. Anyhow, should security be doing room clearances and answering alarms? That is a topic of today's discussion. We've talked about this maybe 6 times, maybe 7 times. And my answer is kind of the same. So let's talk about it first. Okay, alarm responses. It's very common for private security to get alarm response contract. What I found is that there's certain cities, especially in California, that will cite you if you have a false alarm, especially if you're a business, you're a school district, you have a warehouse, whatever the case might be. If you have a false alarm, you're going to be charged. And obviously it depends on the jurisdiction. The amounts are going to vary. But what we found is sometimes it's cheaper just to hire an armed response company or alarm response company or a security company to actually handle the alarms. I don't know if you guys are familiar with West Tech. I have no idea who bought up West Tech, but West Tech and ADP were security companies. I think that they're based out of Los Angeles area, and they would respond to alarms. ADP does have an alarm company, an ACO license, alarm company operator license in California. And that's what both companies were known for, was alarms, stolen alarms, and then you had your armed response unit that would handle those types of calls. I think that with a lot of these jurisdictions that will not respond to alarms anymore, like after the first one, or that will charge the client a lot, it just makes sense. It makes absolute sense hiring a security company to do this, because I'd say maybe 1% of these alarms are actually good alarms. And when somebody breaks into a premise, especially a school district, there's so much damage that can occur. I mean, you're talking about people being able to enter computer systems, especially like medical office buildings. You have all this, patient restricted data, and there's file folders all over the place, and they're probably not even in a safe. Hopefully they're password protected, right? I mean, we would imagine. Now the problem is private security companies not training their employees to respond to alarms. Because essentially what you have, so if you have a burglary alarm, you have a possible felony in progress. Let's face it, a burglary is a felony. With a holdup alarm, you have an armed robbery possibly in progress. Now, most of the time, law enforcement agencies will respond to the holdup alarms, but there's times when these money exchange places, these banks, they just cause so much. They cause so much work, right? Law enforcement constantly responds to their banks. It's manpower intensive. You know, a hold-up alarm, easy, going to require like 5 officers, 4 officers, sworn, I mean. Whereas for security, technically they can just get one security officer to respond. I mean, that's not even safe. And I don't know right now of one security company that responds to armed robbery hold-up alarms, but I'm sure that there's some that are out there. And what I want to ask you guys who are on the line level, are you trained to respond to these alarms? It's a possible felony in progress because a burglary is a felony, right? And then, do you know the rules of engagement? Can you brandish a weapon? Can you brandish your firearm? Can you produce your firearm during the building search? I don't think it's a good idea to do a building search with a Byrna or less lethal device, or especially taser. Building searches are designed for you to use a lethal means. I mean, you don't cover your sectors of fire. You don't clear corners with a taser or a Byrna. You do it with a firearm. I mean, that's the appropriate thing to do. And any security companies out there doing that, I highly criticize them for that as well. I've heard the explanations, and it kind of makes sense in a way when you consider lawsuits, litigation, and you weigh that against officer safety, right? Of your employees. I mean, there's a balance. I tend to weigh in safety of the employees, but then again, safety of employees, what does that mean? Does that mean you're keeping them from getting sued? You're keeping them from losing life and liberty, meaning that if they make a mistake, if somebody just pops out of a corner and they accidentally discharge their firearm, well, they're going to be held criminally liable in court. Is officer safety mean preventing that from happening? I don't know, and I don't have an answer. But those are the explanations that we get in the security industry. Alarm response, building searches do require, basically what you're asking security to do is do CQB, close quarter combat. I know it sounds like a military term. It sounds like a violent term. But that's essentially what you're doing, is you're engaging in CQC, close quarter combat, or CQB, close quarter battle. And those drills that are associated with those acronyms usually follow building searches. They follow alarm responses. I did a video of a security officer involved shooting in my 40-hour private patrol operator leadership development class, which is available on my website, crimebolt.com. And there's a police department, Northern California area. I can't remember the name. I actually talked to one of the managers for the security company that was involved in this alarm, and his security officer, was stabbed with a piece of glass or a piece of the porcelain of the toilet, or the ceramic that came out of the toilet. He was stabbed on an alarm call, and he continued the fight. He continued the search, I believe, for the suspect. We know that there's an officer involved shooting with the security officer and with the police officers that showed up. I don't think it's Reading PD, but I just don't remember, right? But anyhow, that engagement required a team of officers. I mean, at least two. Every time you do a building search, you should always have a minimum of two, but it is highly recommended in most circumstances a team of four. When you start getting to 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes leading that team takes a lot of people. And then if you're in security, if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking, a team? What are you talking about, Sean? We don't have 4 security officers to search a building. No client's going to pay for that. And you are absolutely correct. I think in most circumstances, you're doing it by yourself. But the question is, are you trained to do it by yourself? How about when you get a partner? Are you trained to search with a partner? And the answer is probably not. There's some security companies that I've criticized in the past, and what they do is, they leave their social media videos open on Instagram, YouTube, and then, we've critiqued it on social media reviews. And then I know the same companies, they won't do the 1-minute clips anymore, or the 2-minute clips. They'll just make like a 3-minute clip I'm sorry, a 3-second clip. Because they don't want to be caught on this channel. It's not like they're hiding anything, right? But I understand it's bad publicity for them when you get Sean Ssundahl criticizing the tactics and the techniques, and him mentioning that these techniques endanger the lives of the security staff. And then sometimes there's companies out there where the supervisor is the one doing the training. And the question for me to these supervisors is, who trained these supervisors to do building clearances, building searches? I mean, ask yourself that question. And sometimes, believe it or not, guys, I got more building search experience as a police explorer, or West Covina PD police explorer in 1997 through 99, I think, than at my basic police academy. Hands down, more building search training. And my advisor was a Navy SEAL. He was, I think, I don't know how it worked. I don't know if there's reserve Navy SEALs. So I don't know if he was full-time SEALs, and then he went to Rangers. I think he was a Ranger after that. Ranger Reserve. I honestly don't remember. But he's the one that taught us that. He's the one that taught us these techniques that I will forever be grateful. However, obviously I never got to use his techniques during, like, while he was there. So obviously as an explorer, they don't give you a gun and have you search buildings and then have you being critiqued by a field training officer. That didn't happen. So a lot of explorers that have this experience, they have a lot of training experience, but they don't have the experience, obviously, of searching through buildings and having somebody that knows what they're doing critique them. And that's the problem that we have sometimes, right? You get the guy that's an ex-cop or retired cop, and then he's training officers, security officers, to search buildings. Well, first off, what did you do as a police officer? Were you on the SWAT? And if you were on SWAT, what was your assignment, and like how often did you train, and who trained you? Because training with SWAT teams all over the place, I'm starting to realize that there's huge deficiencies with SWAT training. Just think about that, guys. So what that means is the training from this retired cop or this old cop, as you guys might say it's not even legitimate training. So basically what that person is teaching you is they're teaching you a bad technique. You transfer your knowledge to somebody else that you're training. You also teach them the bad technique, and then for years and years and years you have bad techniques. It happens all the time. I think that security companies that do building search activity, they need to be trained. This isn't a call for action. I mean, you do what you want. It's your company, but get a hold of us. CWPS, Citywide Protection Services. Get a hold of me through email, crimebullet.com. I left my email, I think, in the description box below. But if you want to get properly trained and you want us to set something up, like a 2-day class on building searches, get a hold of us. Matter of fact, we have an active shooter response class. It's a post-certified class, and that's happening on Thursday and Friday of this week, like in 3 days. Today's Monday. Yeah, 3 days. 3 days we have it at Santee, California. We still have room for you guys. Sign up. Sign up before it's too late. You do need a firearms permit, and you need to have a guard card, an active guard card as well. If you're chiming in from another state, you just have to have your state's credentials. If you don't have guard card, if you graduate from a police academy, just get a hold of me. If you're a current peace officer, there's probably not a problem with you coming into the class, but that's coming up, guys. And we like to see you there for sure. The active shooter class that we teach, it does teach building search techniques and tactics and team deployment, and it gets you one step closer. CQB, I will say that CQB, we do offer a CQB class. That is, it's a little bit different than the active shooter class because the techniques are different. Have you heard of a technique called blocking? If you haven't, it might be called something else. That's a technique that is used in CQB. And basically, when you have opposing doors and you only have two people, you want to have one provide security while the other covers. Hopefully it's in a small room, but if it's not in a small room, then you might have that person enter with you as well. But anyhow, there's a whole procedure for that. And then you have the police academy graduate, right, that claims to know how to do building searches, claims to know how to do alarm responses. I'll tell you this, I teach at a basic post academy. I teach level 1, level 2, number 3. They do not get, in most circumstances, they do not get enough building search time. I got more time training as a police explorer than as a police recruit. And then the people that are teaching this building search training, a lot of them don't even know what they're doing. So once again, you have a police recruit that's advertising that he graduated from an academy, he knows all the cop stuff, he knows how to search buildings, he's having problems getting hired right now, he works for your security company, and he's teaching you all these techniques. What he's doing is he's teaching you a bad technique, and you're gonna learn a bad technique. That's what it's all about right now. Let me just go through the comments real quick. TB's here. Give me a second. I can't go through all the comments right now without blocking us straight. I'm on the road back home actually. Give me a second. Have you guys thought about, like, with alarms, just calling the police if there's signs? Like, how does that work? I would imagine with alarm response, if there's signs of forced entry, you probably back off from a safe distance. You contact law enforcement. I mean, that would seem reasonable, and that would be my recommended technique for you guys on alarms. I just have a huge problem with security clearing these buildings with the firearm. And then if you're saying, well, that's why we use tasers, Sean, because we don't want to make the mistake. Well, you're endangering yourself. You're endangering other employees if you're clearing buildings with a taser. We had an officer out here where I work at shot in the face because he cleared a building with a taser. It happens all the time. Police officers all over the world, even security, that are getting stabbed, they're getting shot because they're bringing a taser to a gunfight. It doesn't make any sense. Excuse me. There's not a lot of training that you can go to for building searches. Again, we can hand tailor a class for you guys, and if you don't belong to a security company where you're going to get like 5 or 6 people signing up, just get a bunch of guys that you know, have them contact us, and we can arrange a building search class. But the thing is, these classes are generally not available for security. And something that I learned talking to our students in our active shooter class a couple days ago, because we're having these classes two times out of the month. With some of these, like, I want to say profile, but high-paying security jobs, the jobs where you get paid more than the police or very similar, they expect you to already have that training involved. They already expect you to have that training. Like, if you work at an undisclosed security contract for undisclosed hospital, again, I'm not going to name, you're expected to already have active shooter training. And if you are coming from the military, especially if you have a combat MOS, right? And I think the Air Force doesn't have MOS, but maybe specialty, right? if it's some type of combat specialty or military police, you're expected to have that active shooter training at some of these hospitals already. And what these hospitals fail to understand is the training is different. It's much different. And these new guys that are getting these security assignments at hospitals, they need to learn how to break bread and work with the team that they currently have. And it's at that time that you learn each other's vulnerabilities and capabilities at the same time. I have to really give it to Pais Tactical. Juan from Pais Tactical, Mr. Pais, he paid for 6 of his guys to attend the class that we did over the week. That's impressive. He sent basically the majority, if not all, well, the majority of his patrol division and his operations manager. And it makes sense, right? To have those guys trained up to break bread together. I believe they all slept together. Yeah, let me rephrase that. They slept together at the same, lodging, right? The place where they lodged. That still doesn't sound right. Anyhow, they broke bread together, not bed, but bread. And I think that's pretty cool for bonding purposes. Men getting together and breaking bread. Far away from home, far away from where they're at, and just having time with each other. Let's go through the comments real quick. Make sure I don't leave anybody out. TB's here. He says, yeah, I moved to Atlanta from Colorado, and Colorado was like that when I was a volunteer fireman. It was 25. Doug's here. TB said, I know Eagles Landing Country Club, where all rappers and actors live here in Atlanta. They respond to alarms in their gated community, and believe it or not, it's Allied Universal. Are they trained? Wow. I don't think that they go in and search, though. They might just check it out. And that's the thing, is you just go and check it out. You don't know if you have some fugitive, a burglar that just broke into a facility that they're trying to get away. Maybe they're armed, and you just happen on them. So this whole thing about watching from a safe distance, I don't know how that really goes, because you can only see so much from a safe distance. I mean, I'm sure, how are you going to search in back of these trees, in the dark areas from a safe distance? There has to be a point in time where you're going to approach a building and you're going to be vulnerable for a little bit. TB says, my old Explorer post in Mississippi had a summer and they critique us. That was like 2004. Oh, that's awesome. FCJ9 says, last year I accompanied a manager for an armed walkthrough of the upstairs part of our job site. At the request, I considered that exigent circumstances. Sure, right? Due to the fact that our business was open and we had staff on site. Okay, all right. There's always an exemption for something. TV says, I want to get into nuclear security, like here at the Alvin Electric Generating Plant. Yeah, no, nuclear security is the place to be. Like, really, guys. And I believe that the Department of Nuclear Energy, I'm probably making that up, or Department of Energy, they have a full-blown security team where they have they have their own internal SWAT team. They compete in SWAT events every year, and it seems like they always win. They have a counter sniper team, a sniper team, a QRF team, quick reactionary force, SWAT team. You name it. They have specialized units, and you got to go through a full-blown background check, security clearance, top secret probably. It's really hard to get in. But they also have contract opportunities where they hire contract armed security. But again, it's super hard to get into, and it's very selective. All right, guys, that's all I got. Looking forward to the dialogue and the conversations. Take care.